Good evening. Thank you, Linda, for inviting us to your house here today in Tenafly here. This lecture is going to be Torah and Science, scientific proof that the Torah is divine. As you can see, I brought you 3 CDs in English and some even in Hebrew. And you can also, on my CD, you have my website, divineinformation.com. You have almost 1,000 lectures there. And any topic you ever thought of, any question you ever had, basically is there. So anyone who search for the answers have all the answers. It's all free of charge, so there's no excuses. All right, that's it. Now, usually I start this lecture in the first 15 minutes showing the difference between Judaism to all 80,000 religions and cults. And of course, I'm not going to waste time analyzing every cult or religion that came after Judaism. So I really compare it to Buddhism and to Christianity and Islam. I show some mistakes in the Quran that leave no doubt that God can never give such a book, because God doesn't make human errors. If you find human errors in the Quran, you know God never gave it. And if God never gave it, it's a waste of time even learning in it. Because you can read any book you want. You read the newspaper, it's no problem. But if the book was not given by the creator of the world, first of all, it's not holy. Second of all, it's not obligating us to do anything. And definitely not what he does to the world today. You know? So it's really, really, if an Arab would take 2 or 3 hours of his time and watch this Torah and Science that I'm showing here, he doesn't need more than that to know that Islam is not from God. It's a waste of time. People wrote it, it's full of mistakes. The mistakes, this is the interesting part. Sometimes a very smart person writes a fake document, but only a genius can catch that it's fake, because it's done in such a good way, very difficult to know that it's not divine. But Christianity and Islam, the mistakes are so ridiculous that it's not going to be an exaggeration saying that it's in a level of kindergarten, maximum first grade. Which means if you take a Jewish boy from yeshiva, first grade, and you tell him, I want you to fake me a book, to claim that God gave you a book, fake a book, he won't make some of the mistakes that are in the New Testament and in the Quran. And of course, I don't want to waste too much time on it. You have it in a DVD, you can always watch it later. I can give you one of each, like one mistake. For instance, in the New Testament it says that the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is in the city of Shechem, Nablus. Every fool knows it's in Hebron. It was always there throughout history. Many books were written about it. It's in the city of Hebron. It says in the New Testament, in Act 7, that it's in the city of Shechem. It says in the Torah that Abraham bought it from, of course, Christianity claimed that it's continuation of the Torah, the Old Testament and the New Testament, which means it's from the same God. The Muslims also do not deny the Torah. They know God gave the Jews the Torah. So there's no arguments about the Torah with the other religion. It's the argument if their book is legit, like the Torah or not. That's really the argument. And the answer is, of course not, because it's full of human errors. God does not make such ridiculous mistake. So one of them, it says in the Torah that Abraham bought it from Ephron Achiti. And what does it say in the New Testament? That he bought it from Hamor, the son of Shechem. Completely different person. So such human errors. It says Jacob went to Egypt with 75 people, but the Torah says 70. What happened to God? He doesn't remember if it was 70 or 75? What happened? He forgot the story, such an important story from his Torah. He forgot, now he wrote 75. So this is, and I can name to you now more than 100 mistakes one after the other, and this is without even remembering what I used to remember. If you are interested, I brought, actually I have here if you want, I had a debate with a priest, 3 hours debate, and I crushed him to pieces. Not because it's me against him. The Torah crushed him, the Christianity. Why? Because there's no answers. They don't have one answer to what we show. Not even one. And in the end, he said, what does it say in the end? It says, it says in the end, what he said, you put me in a hole I don't know how I'm going to be able to come out of there. And I said to him, I just proved to you it's a man-made religion. There's no point of wasting time. So what was his answer? My heart doesn't let me leave it. It was so good to me. I say the heart is illusions. It's not the truth. The Muslim, before he blow up the innocent children, he also think it's something, he go to paradise. This is all illusions. We are talking proofs. Proofs, I prove to you this is a fake religion, and that was the end of it. And many, I should say hundreds of Christians already left Christianity by watching it, and many of them are in the process of conversion, among them 3 priests. 2 priests and one that was an assistant of a prince in Florida. They already became fully Orthodox, keeping mitzvot. Why? They realized they were searching for God, and they realized that they found a fake God. Yossi is not the son of God. It's just a Jew who, close to the end of his life, violated the rules, became wicked. He died, and 270 to 300 years after his death, people started to make up stories about him. And nobody ever saw him. Nobody even know for sure if he existed. Could be all a myth. Could be agada. Could be a fairy tale. There's not one indication that a person like this ever lived. Nowhere. So to base your entire life on a story that you heard that started 6 to 10 or 20 generations before your grandfather, it's not ridiculous. It's completely foolish. This is it. Islam, about 1400 years. Haman and Pharaoh, according to the Quran, had a meeting. How they're going to make a tower and go up to fight against the God of the Jews. The only problem is that Haman was born almost 1,000 years after Pharaoh died. So Haman and Pharaoh could never see each other. You understand? So there are ridiculous mistakes in the books. According to the Quran, Miriam, the sister of Moses, she's the same Miriam was the mother of Yossi. According to the Quran, they mix between 2 Miriams. The Miriam, the prophet, the sister of Moshe and Aaron, according to the Quran, she's the mother of Yossi who married Joseph the carpenter, and she's what they call Virgin Mary. Do you ever believe that you find such a foolish mistake in a book that 1.5 billion people ready to kill the whole world for it, for that stupid nonsense, and inside of it says such mistakes? How does a person doesn't open his eyes and say what's going on here? Besides, they all say Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, you insulted Prophet Muhammad, you disrespected Prophet Muhammad. Fine, show me one prophecy in the Quran before you call him Prophet Muhammad. There's not even one prophecy. Many Muslims argue with me in emails. Now I don't have time anymore. I decided I'm not going to waste time on this anymore. But they don't have answer, and they just waste your time. You want to argue? Bring an answer. Do you have a proof? One of them surrender in the end. He say, right, there's no prophecies in the Quran, but you call King David a prophet, and he also did not give prophecies. So a minute later, I emailed him a prophecy from Tehillim, and never heard from him anymore. Why? King David was a prophet. Muhammad was not a prophet. So why are you calling him a prophet if he never gave a prophecy? Why do you waste your entire life on a book that somebody gave, which is full of human errors? Buddhism, they don't really have any official book. Buddha never claimed God came to him and gave him a book to teach the world. He never claimed he's a prophet. He just claimed he had a revelation. He saw the light. And then he started to influence many people. And they started some kind of a culture what we call today Buddhism. Hinduism is a cult of idols worshippers. They worship many different idols. And it grew into hundreds of millions of people. Do they have a book that they claim the creator of the world gave them? No. Why should I waste my time on it? Anyone can make their culture. But the Torah, let's speak now about the Torah. Everything that I did now in 5 minutes in a film is more than half an hour. I give all the mistakes with all the sources. I do not do it to disrespect anyone or to encourage you to go argue with all your colleagues at work. Oh, your religion is fake. Don't waste your time on it. The Jews, they have no incentive to become missionaries. The Jewish religion never been and will never be a missionary religion. The Jews should never beg anybody to join them and to become Jewish. The opposite. They have to do everything they can to prevent the Gentiles from converting to Judaism. If a Gentile comes to join the Torah, Judaism, it's between 2 years to 4 years of hassle. The rabbi send him away, come back next year. Don't bother us now, we're busy, come in 6 months, call us next month. Why? To see how serious it is. And once he finally goes into a process of learning, they give him a pile of books to learn and a test. Believe me, I promise you, no one is interested to run and dig people to make them Jews. It's against what the Torah told us. They want to join us, we cannot prevent them. Also, the Torah says, if they are legit, you have to accept them. But to run after them, to beg them to convert, it's not a mitzvah, it's not an obligation. Okay, so how do we prove that the Torah is really divine 100%? Before I start to prove, and I will prove to you, I promise you, but before I do it, I want to ask you a question to know if I'm wasting my time or not. What is my question? If a person comes and proves to you that the book that you have in your house on the shelf that already is full of dust, lots of dust on top of it, if I prove to you that it's not just another book, millions of books were written in history, this is the book of all books, which means this is the only book that was given by the creator of the world to humanity. Now, it was given before Judaism officially started. Remember, 2,400 years before Judaism started in Mount Sinai, the Torah was already written. It was given to individuals. Adam had part of it. Noah, after the flood, he had 7 laws to keep. All the Gentiles still have to keep 7 laws until this moment. After the flood, 4,200 years. Every person in the world has 7 laws to keep, regardless of Christianity, Islam. That's waste of time. All the fast that they have, all these Muslims, they're wasting their time. All they had to do is to keep 7 laws. One of the 7 laws is you should not kill anyone. Definitely not innocent people. So if a Muslim is not a murderer or supporting murder or terrorism, he could be a righteous Gentile and have a share to the world to come, heaven in a lower level, because his test is much easier. Same thing a Christian. But a Christian has a problem because he believes JC is the Son of God and he violates the 10 Commandments, which is also one of the 7 laws. You should not have any other God but me. Having a partner to God, a son, a cousin, a brother, a colleague, whatever you want to call it, yeah, automatically make you an idol worshipper. A Gentile that worship any kind of idol is a wicked Gentile, not evil, wicked. Wicked means violate the rules of God. You know, but if he does not, if he's just a Gentile that believes in one God and pray to him and speak to him and doesn't steal and is good to society, obey the rules of the police, of the court, you know, he's not worshipping any idols, he's not eating any raw animal before he actually killed the animals, he doesn't rip them apart like they used to do in the old days. It's very easy. Really, the only hard thing for a Christian Gentile today, if he wants to be righteous, is you should not steal. Because stealing is not only when you rob a bank. Stealing is when you use a stamp from your boss with no permission, or took a pen that worth 10 cents home because you needed it on the way. Stealing can go to pennies. People think, are you calling me a thief? You know how honest I am? I never stole in my life. Yeah, but you used someone's phone without permission, and you did this, and your friend gave you a car to drive 5 minutes, and you drove 15 minutes because you went on the way to the bank, so you stole another $2 gas from him. Stealing can go beyond any of your imagination. But if a Gentile is righteous, which means he's not stealing, he's very honest, everything he does, he gets permission and things, he's a righteous Gentile and has a share to the world to come. However, there are Jews that are the chosen people, the children of God. The Torah says, I chose you from all the nations, that does not have a share to the world to come. Which means they are born with that share, but because of their behaving, they're lost it completely. Which means one day they die, and God showed them the place that they should have gone to, but because they violated the Sabbath, and stole, and murdered, and raped, and spoke gossip about people all the time, and they did never prayer, and ate not kosher, and there's a long list, combining all their sins together as opposed to few mitzvot that they did in their life, left them no choice. And what happened to this kind of people? Either they get another chance by being reincarnated, which means the soul will be put in a new body of a new baby, and that's what we all hear. The fact that we are here, that means we have another chance, another chance. That can be proven by hypnosis. Everyone here that wants to know who he was in his previous life, all he has to do is to go to a professional parapsychologist, and he hypnotizes you, and you begin to speak in a language you don't understand. And then later you see your video and say, what am I saying? So you say that your name was Yosef, you live in Iraq, you were helping the rabbi in a synagogue in Baghdad, and now you're in America, you live in Tenafly. It's an upgrade. Now you walk with a nice tie, you wear, a Armani suit. You used to wear a kilt, like a long, but the soul is the same soul. You were an Arab Jew, now you became a European Jew, or the other way around. Or sometimes male become female, or the other way around, but Jews stay a Jew. And a goy stay a goy, because it's different souls. Up to Mount Sinai, all the souls were equal. There was only 7 laws for everyone, even the Hebrews. Once the Hebrews became Jews in Mount Sinai, it's a whole new league now. God separated them as the Torah described. And remember, Christians and Muslims admitting every word in the Torah. And the Torah say that God chose the Jews from all the nation to be His. Some Gentiles appreciate and admire the Jews because of that. And some Gentiles cannot stop hating them because of that. Every Gentile has a free choice how he wants to behave towards those verses. Some of them say, well, if God chose them, who am I to fight against them and to be an anti-Semite? The opposite. I have hundreds of Gentiles who constantly write beautiful emails, the nation of Israel and this and God, and He loves the Jews, should help the Jews. How can you not love Jews? And that's one kind. And then you have the other kind, that anything Jewish that they smell, they're very allergic to it. They suffer being around the Jews, seeing the Jews rule Wall Street. When the Jew is poor, they hate him. When he's rich, they hate him. When he's handsome, they hate him. When he's ugly, they hate him. Whatever the case may be, they're always going to find something to hate him. And the answer is only jealousy. Because in between their hearts, they know these are the people who God chose. And it wasn't me, so it bothers them. So there are 2 ways to look at that. I think that if my best friend, if the mayor or the prime minister would come and send him a nice letter, I want you to work for me, I like you, come, be with me, I chose you from all the people in your university, I think I would be happy for him. I don't think I should have hated him because he was chosen and not me. However, somebody else would hate him for the rest of his life, that it was him and not me. So it's 2 different ways to look at that. Yes, you had a
question. Was about soul being reborn in Giyurim.
Yes.
What happens? Person becomes Giyurim in the middle of her life.
Yeah.
The soul gets what? Reclaimed?
No, the soul gets this. Okay, when a non-Jew goes into the mikveh, into the natural water, she goes in Christine, she comes out Sarah. What happened? Into the non-Jewish soul that she had, a Jewish soul merged in. Now, you have to know one thing. Do you think it's coincidence that some Gentiles convert and some don't? Sometimes you speak to two girls, Jennifer and Christine. One will and the other not. Why? The answer is, when God gave the Torah to the Jews, He offered it to all the nations, and they made a vote. Every nation had a leader. He brought it to his nation and said, what do you want? Do you want to accept the Torah or not? You want to join the Jews or not? The Jews would accept the Torah one way or the other. They're already integral part of the Torah. The whole Torah is around their history. That they were in Egypt, they're coming out of Egypt, God made all the rules for them. So that's already, there's no way to reverse it. It's already a part of history. But to make other nations join the Jews, like Moses, he converted many of the Egyptians. So it would be another 10 million, another 50 million, doesn't matter. Now we're giving you an opportunity to join the nation of God, because they are going to receive the Torah. So far no one is Jewish yet. They're only the Hebrews, and you are the Arabs or the Chinese, whatever you are. Now you have an opportunity. You want to join them? We'll bring you to Mount Sinai, and you join the acceptance of the Torah. Some of the Gentiles voted yes, and some voted no. They went by the majority. The majority wanted to know first what would be in the Torah before we accept it. So what's in it? How are we going to say yes when we don't know what God wants from us? So they say no. But the minority of the Gentiles who said yes, the Kabbalah, the Zohar say that God will give them in the future another chance to be reincarnated in an area, in an environment that they will have a chance to see the truth again, And now they will be free to convert without a vote, without being forced by anything. That's why there's massive amount of converts now, massive amount. If I wanted, I can convert every 5 minutes a Christian, every 5 minutes, if I wanted, from the amount of emails I get. I don't have the time for it, but the many that are very interested. Remember, you have billions, 1% are interested, you already have millions that wants to convert. It's a big amount of people, and I can make a deal with you. You bring me 100 Christians and I give them a lecture, I promise you 20 of them right away will start the conversion right away. Even religious one. Why? You have to understand the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. A Jew, since he's obligated, has huge resistance. That's called evil inclination. The job of the Satan, the evil inclination, is to make you do always the wrong thing. That's the job. And your job with the help of the Torah is to overcome the test. Not to kill, not to steal, not to violate the Sabbath, not to eat not kosher, to eat and say blessing to God, not to be ungrateful. But the Satan always tell you, don't be primitive, don't be foolish. You're in the 21st century. What? These rules applies to them, not now. You don't have to go with this on your head. You don't have to be like this. Don't be so fanatic. This is the fight that a religious person always have in his heart. If he's a woman, why are you so modest? You can be religious and wear pants. It's not the end of the world. So once in a while you go on the beach, you lay like this with your bathing suit. So one day God will forgive you. The Satan is a genius to convince us making sins. Women, men, doesn't matter. But the Gentiles, they only have resistance when it comes to the 7 laws that they are obligated. Like to steal and to do the things that they have the test. Things that they are not in a test, they don't have resistance. That's why they're crazy about the Torah. As soon as they hear 1 or 2 lectures, you should see what response I get from them. Not only that, donations for the CDs, I can get as much as I want from them. If I start running after them, they'll send no problem. Why? They don't have resistance. A Jew, until he give you $200, $300, $500, wow, how much you have to sweat. You understand? You go, I'm serious. Some John from Texas, please bring the Jews back to our Father in heaven. I don't even know who he is. I want to participate in this good deed. Please allow me, like begging me, allow me to donate. Would you accept my donation, like begging? And you come to Yitzchak or Yosef, help to save your brothers and sisters. It's not my job. I have my own children to take care of. Why? Not that he's bad and he's good. One has a very strong Yetzer Hara, this resistance. So remember the rule. You get a reward because it's hard. The religion, to keep it, it's not easy. The harder it is, the more reward you get. The easier it is, the less reward. People always run to commandments, to mitzvot that it's easy to keep. Easy to keep. But for that you hardly have a reward. You get a reward for something that is difficult. That's a great sacrifice. For that, the reward is huge. Just like in everything else in life. So let's move on. So now, remember, if I prove to you that the Torah is real, what's next? That's the question. You go back to your beautiful, phony lifestyle that you think that everything is ideal and perfect, and who needs the Torah, and who needs to follow God's rules, and who needs to sacrifice, and who needs, or you're going to say, let's take a time out, a day or two, and let me think, wait a minute, if the Torah is real, if God gave us the book, especially the Jews, not only the Jews, it's to the whole world, it applies to everyone, mainly to the Jews, because it tells them everything that they need to do. Is it wise to ignore it? You have a book of God that He gave you, a book of instructions. Is it wise to leave it on the shelf for 20, 30 years and never learn it word by word? I always say in my lectures to people, allow me to ask you a question. By the Israelis, it's very common. The Americans, they come to the lecture, they're very polite. If one asks a question, you wait 15 minutes until you give him the permission. But the Israeli, they shoot. Then he raises his hand. Like to show. He already asked the question. So then, fine, you give him an answer, a big fight begins. He gets offended, fighting, no, I cannot be, fanatic, you crazy. After all this, the Torah is like this, it's not from God, the rabbi made it up. Fine, we heard all that. Then I always ask a question. I said to all the criticizer of the Torah, be honest. Just one question, answer honestly. Did you ever read the Torah from A to Z one time in your life? Guess what? In 16 and a half, 17 years, I did not find one yet that read the Torah from A to Z and understand just the meaning of the words. The simple understanding. I'm not talking Kabbalah, secrets, Midrashim, Gemara, Chazal, Drashot, none of these things. Just like in kindergarten, that they teach the kids, Bereshit, in the beginning, Bara Elokim, Hashem created, from A to Z. What does it mean, sacrifice? What does it mean, Korban Chatat, Korban Asham, Korban Olev V'Yored? All these terms, there's hundreds of terms, they don't know what you're talking about. Chinese to them, it's Chinese. So how do you dare to criticize something you don't even know what it is? I always give this example. Imagine I go to the convention of the best doctors in the world. Today the topic is the new technology, how to do brain operations. There's some kind of tumors, you know, and now they came with new equipment, so the best doctors in the world come to teach about it. And here comes me, the ignorant, that don't know anything in medicine, show up in the middle of the convention and say, all of you are fools. You have no idea what brain is. Come, I'll teach you how to do it. Why are you fooling the people? You should not cut from here, you should cut from there. Based on what I say, the patient will die in 5 seconds. And then right away they realize I'm a fool. So they say to me, excuse me, sir, where did you go to college? What medical school you went to? And I said, no, what medical? When I was 9 years old, my father put me in a farm. I take care of the cows. So what are you coming to give us to criticize medicine? First, you be a doctor just as good as us, with our experience. You know medicine. Let's argue now. You're not in our league to argue. That's why I always tell these secular people, Israelis, not Israelis, Russian, Persian, doesn't matter. Before you create to ask question, ask as much as you want, no problem. That's why we make all these lectures. To criticize, you better be mute. Don't talk about something you have no idea about, not even 1%. Don't talk, because you only begin to understand after many years of learning how everything falls into the puzzle. What do you think? You come, you sit 1 week in yeshiva and you understand the whole Torah? It's very complicated. But I promise you that you bring me the smartest person you know, and he will sit 1 or 2 days in the yeshiva, he will run right away back to his college and say it's a picnic here, compared to this learning of Gemara. It's nothing to compare. I brought few doctors. I said, wow, I thought medicine is difficult. A mathematician. I thought math. I had one when I was learning in yeshiva, a Baal Tshuva from Venezuela. He was the champion of South America in math. You never saw in your life such a brain. Everything he reads right away, he remembers everything. Everything you ask him right away, you know from thousands of books to pull, what page, what line, everything. I asked him once, you know, math is very difficult in the levels that you are. How do you compare it to the Gemara? He said, it's like comparing a monkey to a person. And this is math that everyone agrees that it's really hard. If you have a great mathematical head, then for sure you're a smart person. He said it's like comparing a monkey to a person. And this is a person who knows both sides. After 2 years, he finished the whole Talmud, what a person does in 20 years. He did in 2 years. Why? His head was thinking in a very high level. But just to give you an idea, to learn Torah is in a very, very high level. Since you never learn, you don't know the simple understanding, why don't you give credit to people who sit 60, 70 years and they are very smart people, from morning to night, all their life, they dig in it, that when they say something, they know a little bit what they talk about instead of making fun. That's why I always say, and then the people say, you know what, you're right, I never thought of it. Let's give you examples, and the rest you watch later by the film. There are many ways to prove that the Torah is divine. One way is by looking at the structure of the transmission, the Mesorah, what we call in Hebrew Mesorah, the way it was transferred from generation to generation without mistake. To transfer such a massive amount of information to millions of people constantly for a period of thousands of years without making one mistake, it seems to be above human. It's like unheard of. How the Jews were able to transfer the written Torah and the oral Torah without mistakes. I'll give an example. If you go today and buy the New Testament, you buy it in Denmark, you get one version. You go to Germany, different version. You come to the United States, different version. Different edition, different version. How many different versions the New Testament have? Different prints, that words are different, letters are different, dates are different, orders are different, the genealogy described differently in different places. How many new different texts? Do you know how many? More than 150,000 different New Testament in a period of 2,000 years. 150,000, which means here, this is the New Testament different than this one. And this one different than this one. Different. Even one word difference, it's already a different version. 150,000 different versions. Quran, it's only 1,300 years and change. Less than 1,400 years. Much less than Christianity. 600 years less. It's like a snowball. It's much, much less. How many? Hundreds of different Quran. Quran in Israel, the Quran in Iraq, Quran in Iran, Quran everywhere else is different Quran. Different names, different dates, different things. Torah, 3,322 years. The whole world were running after the Jews to destroy them. The Babylonians, the Romans, the Greeks, the Persians, the Egyptians, the Philistines. Every empire who controlled the world, the first thing they put in their agenda to destroy the Jews or to control them. One of the two. If we were lucky, we were only slaves. If not, we get killed. One of the two. And of course, all these empires, always the first rule they always made was that the Jews are not allowed to practice and to learn Torah. Right? Look at the Greeks. Everyone was learning Torah, get executed. Same thing the Romans. You got caught learning Torah, you get killed. Same thing the Babylonians, they can't destroy Bet HaMikdash. What do you care? You're all over there in Iraq. Why you come to Israel, to Jerusalem, and destroy the temple? Why does it bother you? They couldn't live with that. Once Judaism is still rising, everywhere else, it shows how fake is their religion. So they couldn't tolerate it. So first rule is, if you cannot beat your competitor, destroy him. Kill him. You kill him. Some of them actually use a different tactics. You cannot beat him, join him. Many Romans converted. The Gemara brings, Onkelos is one of the greatest commentaries on the Torah. Onkelos was the nephew of Titus, the destroyer of the temples. His nephew became a rabbi. And many others, Shmaya, Talion, there's many Romans. So this is just to give you an example. So the Torah, one Torah. Everywhere you go. You go now to Poland, ask the rabbi over there, open your Torah. You go to Russia, open your Torah. You go to Iran, open your Torah. Go to Syria. Go anywhere you go. Same Torah, 304,805 letters. Not 2,000 years like Christianity. Almost double, 3,300 years. One version all over the world, same Torah. Doesn't tell you something? It's almost triple than the amount of the Quran. And much longer. The chance that we will have one version all over the world as opposed to hundreds or 150,000 when our book is much longer and much longer in history, in time, and everyone was after us to destroy the Torah, what is the chance that after 3,300 years we gathered in Israel and everyone brought one Torah? This is against all odds. See that the Torah of God, He had incentive to keep it exactly as it was. Why? If it's going to be 100 versions, then there's no way to be a Jew. There's no way to practice Judaism. There's 100 different books. Which one is correct? This one divine. Just in case you didn't know, if you take one letter out of the Torah, what happened to it? Not kosher. You cannot read in it. You cannot do anything with it. From 304,805, you take one letter. Some letters does not change the meaning of the word, like a yud. Many words you can take the yud and everybody understand what it means. If you take the yud and you did not change the meaning of the story by nothing, still it's not kosher. You can put it in a garbage bag, put it in a suitcase, whatever, and El Al, they throw it like this, like they throw the suitcases. No problem. Why? You took one letter out, or you did not finish the last letter of the Torah. You wrap it in a UPS box, and the guy comes to your home and throw it on the grass, and it's not a sin. You complete that letter, throwing the Torah, everyone has to fall on the floor and cry and fast, and it's a horrible sin. What's changed? This little you changed something? Of course. Up to now it's divine. You took one letter out, it's human. It's nothing. It's toilet paper. Nothing. It's either divine or it's nothing. This is very important to remember. It's either divine or it's nothing. That's why the Torah must kept exactly as it was given in Mount Sinai in all generations until the end of time. That's why even if God gave Christianity, it's gone. It's obsolete. It's gone. There's no point of wasting time. Even if he gave it, because where is it? It's gone. Which one of the versions is the divine book? You'll never know. Even if he gave Quran, which one of them is real? You'll never know. And of course, we know he never gave it. So that's called the structure of transmission. Then we have hidden structures in the Torah. Numeric values, math. The Torah could be a whole math. Math, hidden codes, mathematical skip, all kinds of secrets hidden in the text that with the help of the computer in the last 20 years we keep discovering a whole world inside the Torah, which we see right away. It's all divine. A person was unable to plan such a thing because all of these codes are speaking about events in our generation. What person was able to give a book 3,300 years ago and put Menachem Begin inside? Anwar Sadat, Saddam Hussein, George Bush, these names, Bin Laden, in equal skip. In a code, planted pattern, it's inside the code. What person knew 3,300 years there will be these leaders? What person knew about diabetic or AIDS? That he put it inside the Torah, and it's very interesting. The words usually come in the same chapter that is similar in the topic, which means AIDS comes on a chapter of Sodom and Gomorrah. All the sex crimes, mainly homosexuality. That's why God destroyed those cities. Over there, the word AIDS and other words that relates to it are hidden in the text in equal skip. How did someone know 3,000 years ago it would be a disease that somehow connects to homosexuality and put it in a page in the Torah that refer to this sin? How is it possible? Impossible. Nobody could know it. Even what's going to be tomorrow, nobody knows. Definitely not going to be in 3,000 years. So that's called hidden structures. Then prophecy. Every chapter in the Torah you open, I show you right away prophecies there. You want to test me? Bring it. Open, I show you prophecies in that chapter. You open the Quran 5 billion times, you won't find one prophecy. You open the New Testament, you won't find one prophecy, nothing. 200 years after the New Testament started, one of the popes say, God left the Jews. After he destroyed their second temple, he gave them 2 chances, then they will never return to the Holy Land ever again. When the Jews came back to the Holy Land, we sent a letter to the previous pope, Mr. Yochanan. Can you tell us, please, how do you explain that mistake in the Christian books? It's not in the New Testament. In the New Testament, there's no prophecies. Why? They knew they're not prophet. Muhammad knew he's not a prophet. What is he going to write about the future, that everyone would know he was a liar? Nobody wants to write about the future. It's just a matter of time. People know you're a faker. So you don't talk about the future. What for? I'm just telling you, God gave me this book. Finished. But, you know, so the Pope answered, the Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. Do you understand the question and the answer? How do you explain that millions of Jews came back to the Holy Land? According to your books, God left the Jews and they will never return to the Holy Land. Here, millions of Jews are living in the Holy Land. Forget the state of Israel. Who mentioned the state of Israel? Jews are there or not, with the government, with an army, doesn't matter. They live in the Holy Land, yes. They have their synagogues there. They practice Torah, yes. How do you explain it? The Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. When anyone spoke to you about the legitimacy of the state of Israel, that wasn't the issue. Talking Jews are in Israel or not? Of course they are, because Nobody else gave prophecies besides the Torah. Now, I'm not talking about the prophets, Jeremiah, Isaiah, all the other ones. I'm talking in the Torah. The prophets, it's a whole new lecture about it. So inside the Torah, you have plenty of prophecies. Then you have wisdom in the Torah that indicates right away that no human being had any kind of wisdom like this ever in history. It's above human understanding. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And then you have full control in the Torah, which means, what does it mean? Let me give you an example of what I mean. It's like this. You have wonders in the creation. You have wonders in the creation that the Torah already spoke about, that shows you that the creator of the world, the writer of the Torah, is in charge of these wonders. And then you have control, which you can break to two mini categories, archaeology and psychology. What's the connection between these to the Torah, to proving the Torah is divine? Archaeology, every archaeologist who ever found something around Israel and in the whole area over there, when he begins to dig, what does he do first? Takes the Torah or the Bible, the Tanakh, and learn very, very carefully where King David lived. Oh, in this area, that city, that, so it has to be here. Looking on a map, they go to an area and they begin to dig. In the beginning, they bring tractors, and then it comes to toothbrush. They dig with toothbrushes, months, hundreds of people, millions of dollars, very expensive. Or they go to Egypt and they begin to dig. Why? It says that the Jews were there. Let's see what they left there. So, you know any archaeologists that ever found something without the help of Torah? No. Everything they found, they owe to the Torah. But yet, some of them say, the Torah is not from God. But everything they do is based on the Torah. And psychology. What psychology? Every religion book, every religious book in history, such as Quran, Islam, Buddhism, anyone you want, you will never find any bad comment against the hero of the story. Did you ever hear a bad comment against JC in the New Testament in Christianity? Did you ever hear that JC is a liar? Did you ever hear that he raped a married woman? Did you ever hear that who knows what he did? Anything negative about him? Nothing. Cannot be a person live his entire life, there's nothing negative to say about him. Cannot be. Same thing Muhammad. Did you ever hear something about him? Did you hear that he did something wrong? Was he getting angry? All kinds of things? Nothing. You come to the Torah, you begin. Adam was created, a few hours later already made a sin. What happened? God got angry, punished him. Adam, you wicked. No? Fine. Next hero in the Torah, Noach. Noach had 3 sons, 2 wicked. Ham and Yefet, very wicked. 1, Sem. The Jews came from Sem. That's why anti-Semite. Someone who hates Sem, hate the Jews that came from him. Anti-Semite. Right? So, Noach, getting drunk. Slaying in a tent. You write about a person that is holy, is drunk, sleeping naked in his tent, and his children come and see their father naked. Why do you have to write this in a story? Put it under your Persian rug. Hide it. Nobody has to know everything. Noah righteous, this, he built the ark, he saved the universe. You don't have to write that he likes to drink l'chaim. Put him underneath. Then comes Abraham. Abraham, hero, God loved him. What happened in the end? He brings a wild beast to the world. The Torah say, went with the Agar, the slave, and brought Ishmael, the founder of all Arabs. What does the Torah say about the first Arab lived in the creation? A wild beast. A wild beast. His hand is in everything, and everything is in his hand. That's what you see today in the world. The oil. He moved the entire world. They make billions of dollars. Every word that comes out of my mouth, another $1 billion went to Saudi Arabia from the oil that you buy everywhere. They control the whole world. Why? The Torah said it. There's no other way. It's in the Torah. Right? Why? Terrorism, bombs, Allahu Akbar, we'll kill everyone, infidels, we blow the place, we'll get an atomic bomb. As soon as they have a bomb, millions of people will die. They don't care. They'll be dancing on the street. Why is it? Because it's in the Torah. It's nothing to do with politics. You can talk to them, make agreements. It's so foolish how much the politician waste. It's not. It's like taking a tiger. Let's make an agreement. Let's make an agreement, don't touch me. It's not in their hands. They are fulfilling their job in the creation. There's nothing you can do about it. It's nothing personal. In general, can be bring you into his house, feed you, bring you food, slaughter a cow for you, treat you like a king. But when it comes to violence and blood, it's in the genes. There's nothing they can do about it. Why? This is the way God made nature. The Torah said. If the Torah wouldn't say, then it's pure racism. Who am I to say? I'm just reading you a verse in the Torah. We have our own problem. The Jews have their own plenty of problems. But I'm just saying what the Torah says. Now, so we continue. So the Torah speaking about now Moses. Stuttering. Why you have to say that he's stuttering? He couldn't find a better leader? Excuse me, Pharaoh. I want to take the nation of Israel out of Egypt. Why do you have to write it in a book? You ever saw that somebody write a biography about his great father, this special professor, whatever, and he write, my father was stuttering, he had speech problem, he could not speak. Why do you write it in a book? Push it under the rug, nobody would know. In history, everyone will remember him as a perfect professor. Why do you have so much negative, King David, King Solomon? Why? Why so much negative? Because this is what happened. The Torah is real. It's no agenda of someone to make the Arab looks bad, to make the Jewish leader looks good. No. What really happened, that's what God wrote in his Torah. Ishmael was a wild beast. The Torah wrote Ishmael is a wild beast. Esav was a hunter doing all kinds of things. The Torah wrote who is Esav. The Torah wrote about Jacob, what he was, what was good about him, the mistakes he made. The Torah spoke about Moses, got punished. God didn't let him enter the land. He begged God to let him in. He didn't let him in. He said, you got me angry. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I told you to speak to the rock. You hit the rock. You embarrassed. You are my rep. All kinds of things. Why do we need to know this? Bottom line, the Torah is the only objective document you find in 80,000 religions and cults that came after. The only one. Because it's the only one that really came from God. And God is not a liar. He's not a politician that writes only what he wants you to know. He writes everything that really happened. Whether we like it, we don't like it. Some of the things it's pleasant to hear. Some of the things it's not pleasant to hear. Some of the things when the speaker reads from the Torah, you get angry at him. Don't get angry at the speaker. Get angry at the book. We have a problem with God. Now, if you're not sure that it's God, in 5 more minutes you will be. So, here, let me give you another example what I mean. How do you know the book is divine? When the Torah was given to the Jews, it was given a combination of written and oral. Why God separated between the written Torah to the oral Torah? Answer number 1, if he would not separate it, the size of the book will be all the way to the main street. If you want to bring it, you need 15 guys to carry the book, to come inside the house. It will fill up the whole room. You want to turn the pages, it will be very difficult. Why? There's so much knowledge. How can you fit everything in one book? Especially when the books were not like we have today with thin pages. All the books were scrolls that are made from the skin of the cow. You remove the hair like the Torah. Now, if you ever went to the Torah, the men here, and they let you hold the Torah, it's very heavy. It's maybe 20, 30 pounds. It's very heavy. It's like picking up a very fat baby. And the old ones are like picking up twins. It's a very heavy book. And if it's a Sephardic one, oh, wow, forget it. With all the case, with the silver, believe me, your back hurt for a week. So this is only the written scroll. Imagine if you put all the oral laws combined, you know what would be the size of the scroll? You won't be able to turn it. You need 15 people to turn a page. It's not realistic. So nobody would be able to carry it. So that's one reason. Second reason is God did not want all the Gentiles to have all the secrets of Judaism in their hand. If they would have one copy, that's it. Nobody would ever know in the future if he's a Jew or not. The Jews would not know. Why? How do I know if the Torah was published to everyone? Everyone who wants, have everything, you buy it, and all the secrets are in one book. How to do, how to slaughter, how to make tefillin, how to write Sefer Torah, how to dress, how to circumcise the baby, all the laws, everything in. One Ahmed in Jordan, He said to his son, Mustafa, Said, I want you now to follow your father. I read the Jewish Torah. I heard God gave them the Torah now, a few weeks ago, in the middle of the desert. I'm reading it. It's amazing. Let's join them. I say, Abba, but they're not going to get it. They will not let us in. I said, don't worry. We wait a few months. Then they moved to one place, and we joined them together. We look like them. Everyone had beard. Everyone was covering his head. We already know everything. We make tefillin from the cow. We put it here. We come with tzitzit. And we make ourselves Jewish names. And we join them. We don't need conversion. They're not going to let us convert. It's very difficult. Come back, 2 years, 3 years, a test. Why do we need all this headache? Here I am, Rabbi. How are you? I came from France. Yes? Yeah, I'm a Jew from France. I come. Can I learn in your yeshiva? You don't know who he is. Tomorrow your son wants to marry his daughter. His daughter is non-Jew. So your son marry her. The children are not Jewish. They don't belong to the nation of God. But they think they're Jewish. They go to yeshiva. It will be all over the world such an anarchy. Nobody knows who is who. Even the Jews that know the grandmother was Jewish for sure, how did they know that 5-10 generations earlier, the grandmother wasn't some French Goya that came from France? So to prevent such a thing, the Torah was given to the Jews written, and all the instructions were not allowed to be written. For 1,300 years, nobody wrote the oral laws. It was transferred verbally from father to son, from rabbi to students. And only people knew by copying. I give you an example. If you want today to make tefillin, nobody will teach you, even if you're Jew. There's only few families in Jerusalem and in Bnei Brak who control the whole market in the world. If you come and say, I want to learn the job, they won't teach you. They only know how to make. Now, I can read in a book of law how to make tefillin. It's exactly like someone who wants to operate on someone's brain, and he goes to medical school, and he knows 100% by the books how to perform an operation. But he never was ever in his life in the operation room. Never. Would you let somebody like this operate? Or first you let him do 6 months next to a specialist, that he see what the doctor does, how he cut, how he sew, whatever he does inside. After you learn, then you can become a surgeon. Okay, I came to perform a surgery. Who are you? I just finished college today. I can tell you all the book of the medicine by heart. But I never held scissors in my hand. Nothing. I don't know how to cut. I don't know what. Nothing. I don't know. I never really looked at the brain in my life, inside. It's not enough. You can learn to be a mechanic in the books, but you never change brakes. Now you have to do it. Just because you know the books, you're not going to be able to do it. So the answer is, if you do not have who to teach you exactly what to do, it's not enough to read the books. And this is how the Jews were not writing it. They were teaching each other. And they know who comes to the class. Now the rabbi has to teach people who wants to become mohel, to circumcise the baby. There are many things to learn. It's not written. After 1,300 years, when there was a great jeopardy to the Torah, the Romans kicked the Jews out of the land. The Jews are spreading now all over. Nobody knows if the Torah will remain. Then the president of Israel, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, wrote the oral Torah, and this is what we call the Mishnah. The Mishnah and the Gemara. If he would not write it, we wouldn't be here. Nobody would know who's a Jew anymore. Because we lost control. That's it. We're slaves now. They're throwing us to Rome, to Babylon, to all over. So because there was a great danger, they wrote the oral law. But 1,300 years after. Now, so the oral law was separately. So this is apart from the written Torah. This is apart from the oral law. You cannot understand one verse in the written Torah before you read the oral law carefully. Not one word. Not one verse, even if it sounds like simple Hebrew. No. Every time the name of God appears differently, there's a meaning. Every time he uses two similar words, every word has something unique about it that the other one doesn't have. It sounds exactly the same, but this is in a time of happiness, and this is in a time of tragedy. How do you know all this? The answer is in the oral law. Let me read to you. This is what the Torah says. This you may eat. This is Deuteronomy 14. This is permission to the Jews to eat whatever they want to eat. Seafood. Two conditions. Fins and scales. It has to have fins and scales in order for it to be kosher. So the Torah said, this you may eat. Everything that is in the water, it did not say which water. 72% of the world is water. 12-kilometer depth. From here to Manhattan almost. So it's very deep. And 72%, which means 3/4 of the world is blue. It's all water. And the Torah was written 3,322 years ago, when half of the fish that we have today in the oceans did not exist yet. Because they always mix and create new species. And scientists always create artificially new species. The Torah includes everything up to this moment. Even something that somebody will invent tomorrow, it's included in this promise. The Torah says, everything that is in the water, this you may eat, everything that is in the water, anything that has fins and scales you may eat. This is right here in the Torah. Comes the oral Torah, and this is what it says. Everything that has scales must have fins, guarantee. If it has scales, sometimes it does not. If it has fins, it does not have scales. If you find a shark or a dolphin, you don't need to be God to write in a book that there are fish that have smooth body. You catch one dolphin or you see one of them, and you know there are fish that have fins that doesn't have scales. You don't need to be God. It's not a proof of anything. But the first 7 words, everything that have scales have fins. Only God could write such a thing. No human being was able to write such a thing. For a very simple reason. When you give a book now, do you know a person that can watch the entire world simultaneously and promise that this species does not exist? Can I promise about one animal that does not exist? How can I promise? I have a way to view the entire world. If I was able to watch every inch of the world, then I can write, this animal does not exist. But since I cannot even watch 1 mile in the world, I cannot watch. There's no way for me to write. Maybe when I watch that part of the world, it moves to a different part. Maybe when I review one continent, they move to a different one. Maybe they move from one side of the ocean to the other. How can I promise that something like this does not exist? Now remember, all it takes is that one person today in the world will bring a fish or a snake that have scales. You scratch the body and the scales are falling off, like the carp, the salmon. You scrape it and it falls off. And instead of fins, it has a tail. That's all. That will be the end of Judaism. Everything collapses. That will be the first mistake. Now remember, this is not foolish mistakes, such as the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is in the city of Shechem. This is a ridiculous mistake. Everybody knows it's in Hebron. How can you write it in a book? It will be a mistake that it's hard to find, but once a person brings one fish that does not have fins, but have scales, that's the end of Judaism. Now what do I mean it's a sophisticated mistake? First of all, if you want to claim that the Torah was given by a human being, why a person want to impress me by pretending that he has full control of nature? Why? He knows it's not like that. Why does he take such a risk? Why in a book of religion, which is mainly instructions, what to do, what not to do, how to live and how not to live, reward, punishment, free choice, heaven, hell, all these things that we hear so much, what's the connection now between fin and scales and to tell me you'll never find something like this in nature? What is he trying to prove to me? The answer is, I'm almost done, I know. I give another example and the rest, you have plenty of other examples. Whenever you have time, you watch little by little. So why would he want to do it? Why would he write it in a book? For one reason, that 3,300 years later, his children, the descendants of Israel, will begin to ask questions. Until 200 years ago, almost every Jew all over the world was religious. Sephardi, Ashkenazi, Russia, Poland, Iraq, Iran, Syria, everywhere you go, The authority was the chief rabbi. Nobody heard of a secular court by a Jewish community. In Yemen, until this moment, never in the history, almost 3,000 years, never in the history, there was one Jew ever on the land of Yemen that violated the Sabbath. Until now, every Yemenite that ever lived in Yemen was always religious. You never found one. Remember what I say. You don't believe me? Go and check. Go ask the Yemenites who came to Monsey 10 years ago. They laugh at you when you ask this question. Crazy? Violate Shabbat in Yemen? Never in the history. Nobody ever in Yemen was secular. You know why? Why in the rest of the world in the last 200 years more and more Jews became like the Goyim? But in Yemen nobody ever considered that. Why? Because in Yemen they didn't have colleges, sophisticated information. They did not merge into the non-Jewish communities that affected them so much. By wanting to become a lawyer or a judge or a doctor or whatever they wanted, they had no choice. They had to sit in Hamburg and in Berlin and in, who knows, in Moscow and today in New York and learn what the Goyim teach. That we came from the monkey and all kinds of things. And after 7, 8 generations, you cannot prevent the influence of what they teach about your belief and the way you look at the world. More and more people, instead of knowing Torah, they know many things, but they don't know Torah. When you don't know Torah, why should I keep? Maybe my parents taught me something is nonsense, it's primitive, why should I keep? That's why God put scientific evidence in the Torah that no matter when a skeptic person would come and say, prove to me that it's divine, if a person knows how to prove, will take 10 minutes. All you have to do is to show him 2 examples. I showed you one, let me show you the second, and we'll be done with this. I'm going to skip some, the rest you can see in the film. Here, the Torah says, this is in a chapter of Brachot, Masechet Brachot, page 32, in the Gemara. The Gemara says that the nation of Israel complained to God and say, when a person gets remarried, he never forgets his ex-wife. He once used to be married 10 years ago. He doesn't forget her. And you that made a marriage with us in Mount Sinai, you gave us the first temple, you gave us the second temple, now you destroy the second temple, you're throwing us to the exile, you completely neglected us, you completely forgot about us. This is in English. So, actually, I better go to the Hebrew because I want you to listen to me, not to read. And then I'll show you the page in English, that you can confirm that everything I translate is legit. So God said to the nation of Israel an answer. Why the Gemara giving us a love story between God and the nation of Israel? Why? One reason to show how important the Jews to God. Yeah, of course. But that's not the main reason here. Over here I'm going to show you a shocking scientific evidence that a person can never write the Torah, the oral Torah. I'm giving you an example from the oral Torah. In the year 1608, Galileo Galilei raised this telescope to the sky 400 years ago and showed the world that there's much more than 6,000 stars. Up to that moment, everyone believed there's between 6,000 to 8,000 stars because there's no other way to count more. You stand on a mountain in a bright night and you count 6,000, 6,100, 6,200. Between 6,000 to 8,000, that's the maximum somebody ever reported. So the whole world believe, you know, what you cannot see does not exist. So how do we know? That's at 8,000 stars. One day Galileo Galilei take a 6-foot telescope, he raised it to the sky, much more. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. The world was in shock. Wow, there's much more stars, but they're very far, these galaxies. We cannot see them. So, from then until the sophisticated NASA telescope in our days, today NASA knows there are quadrillion amounts of stars. Some of them are 1,000 times bigger than Earth and more. We're going to show you what it means. So the Gemara says that the nation of Israel said to God, how did you forget us like this? And this is what God answered. And God said, my daughter, 12 section I created in heaven. 12 section, that's where the horoscope come from. Somebody asks you, where is this? Aries, twins, all the signs, the 12 signs. Where are they coming from? Every man has his sign. How do you know that it's 12 and it's a 360 degree circle and the earth goes around the sun and every 30 degrees it's a new month? How do you know all this math? This is the source. Right here, page 32. This was written 2,000 years ago, but was given to the Jews 3,322 years ago, way before the Greeks, way before the Babylonians, way before the Romans, way before the Persians, before everyone. So this is it. It says like this: 12 section I created in heaven, and in each section I created 30 armies, and in each army I created 30 legions, and in each legion I created 30 raton, and in each raton I created 30 karatons, and in each karaton I created 30 gasteras, and in each gasteras I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 riboitz revava, 10,000 stars. And all of that I created for you. And you have the nerve to tell me that I left you and forgot about you? This is the answers of God. How many stars I created? Let's do the math. Now this is right here in English. I will return to it soon. But let's first do the math together. 12 sections I created in heaven. And in each one I created 30 army. And in each one I created 30 legion. And in each one I created 30 karaton. And 30 raton. And 30 gistera. 365,000 stars multiplied by 10 stars, ribo. This is the calculation. 10 to the power of 19. 1 and 18 digits number. I believe in English it's called quadrillion, which is 1 billion times billion times billion. It's an astronomical number. No, 1 billion times million times million. So let's see what the scientist has to tell us about the number of the stars in the world. In 1990, you have it right here. In 1990, Dr. T. Brewers from Queen Mary College in London, it's only 20 years ago, had a research with the help of mega computers and found there are 10 to the power of 19 stars in the universe. The truth is, I really don't care, with all due respect to Dr. Brewers, I don't really care what he found. The answer is, I don't need him to tell me the amount of the stars in the world after I read it in the Torah. If he would say something else, of course I wouldn't care. So whether he say the truth, whether he doesn't say the truth, doesn't really matter. I only care about one thing. That you have to remember that the generation that it was written in the Torah, nobody had a telescope, nobody even had a calculator. Nobody had a mega computer, nobody had satellites that take pictures of the galaxies, and huge computer the size of a building that counts on all the dots. Nobody had that technology. And the Torah told us something that the scientists discover exactly. The Torah say, 12 sections I created in heaven. Here, in the scientific language, it's called constellations. And then it says, in each one, 30 armies, they call it hosts. And in each one, 30 legion, it's also legion. And in each one, 30 raton, they call it divisions. Now remember, they do not know about the oral Torah, these non-Jewish scientists in NASA. Nothing to do with the Gemara. This is what they discovered, that it's one inside the other. It's mini section inside the mini section, and they write it in the research. The Torah say karaton, they call it battalions. The Torah say gastera, they call it camps. And what the Torah calls stars, they also call stars. Which is very interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sections. Also the scientists discover 7 sections. 10 to the power of 19 in the Torah, in the Gemara. Also 10 to the power of 19. But the question that I have, now let's go back to the English. You can read the entire things. Why does a person was able to write thousands of years ago the calculation of the stars, when the maximum you can count is 6,000 to 8,000 stars? Anyone here has something to say so far about what I show? Remember, I only show you 1 or 2 proofs. I have here many. And in the film you're going to see a lot more interesting things that time does not allow us. You understand? So since we are already with NASA, let me just finish this proof by showing you mamash 2-3 more minutes, and then I give time for questions. According to the Torah, we celebrating the months in Jewish calendar based on the sun and the moon. The Muslim go only by the moon, the Christian only by the sun. The year of the Muslims is 354 days. The year of the Christians is 365 days and few hours. There's 11 days gap. That means every 3 years there's a month gap. Which means the Muslims celebrate the Ramadan every 9 years, it changes season. Because every 3 months it moves a month. So every 3 years. So for 9 years it moves 3 months. In 18 years it moves from the summer to the winter. Sometimes they fast in a Ramadan in the summer when it's 110 degrees, and sometimes they fast in 30, 40 degrees in a very cold winter. Why? Because it keeps moving. They don't care that the cycle is shorter. The Christians also have a problem with balancing, so every 4 years they add February 29. You don't want to be born on that day, you miss a lot of birthdays. Your birthday comes every 4 years. So that's February 29. You don't have it every year, only once every 4 years there's an extra day in the calendar. Now the Jews have a serious problem. God said to Moses in the Torah, Passover, the holiday of the spring, as you can see right here. V'asita Pesach, Passover is the holiday, Pesach means Passover, it's the holiday of the spring. What would happen if we would not know the math? Passover would move. If we go by the moon, it would move. If we only go by the sun without this February 29 solution, Passover would move in the season. So what's going to be? So God told Moses, how do you overcome the problem that you won't have a mistake in the Torah? If Passover will be in the winter, the Torah call it the holiday of the spring, and it's in December. Everyone is freezing. What kind of divine Torah that he call it the holiday of the spring and it's in the winter? So every 19-year cycle, you add 7 more months into the calendar. This is what we call in Hebrew, Adar Aleph, Adar Bet, second Adar. Just before Pesach starts, Nisan, we see that it comes short around March. We push another month into the calendar. We postponed it by 30 days, and it falls in the spring. 2-3 years later, again, Pesach comes short. We push another month. We bring it up by a month, and that's how it's been going on for thousands of years. Now listen good. Before the Jewish calendar was written by the grandson of Hillel, the president of the Sanhedrin, his grandson, his name was also Hillel. He wrote the Jewish calendar, which is a brilliant calendar. For instance, he made Yom Kippur will never fall on a Friday, and it will never fall on a Sunday. It can fall on Shabbat, but it will never fall on Sunday, and will never fall on Friday. Why? Why he planned it that way? Because if in the old days when someone died, you cannot move him the entire Sabbath if he dies on the site. It's muktzeh, you cannot move the body. What happened now if you're going to Yom Kippur, which is Sunday, you have 2 days of Sabbath. 2 days, the body in the Middle East, it's horrible smell. There's no refrigerator, you cannot move him. You cannot move the body, even by a goy. You cannot call a goy to move him. So it can never be. So it will never fall on Friday, it will never fall on Sunday. This is just to show you how brilliant it is. And now, before the calendar was written, you needed 2 Jewish witnesses to come to the rabbis in the court. Rabbis, we just saw the renewal of the moon. The moon disappeared for a second, and it's just starting right now. It's a new cycle. So the rabbis would announce that it's the first day in a Jewish month, and they send messenger to all the exiles to tell them on that Wednesday, it was the first day on the month of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah, or first day in the month of Nisan. In 14 days, it's Passover. This is how it was, very primitive. One time, 200 witnesses came to the rabbi in a court, Rabban Gamliel. They told him, Rabbi, it's Rosh Chodesh now. He was sitting in a building. He told them, all of you are wrong. It's too short, cannot be. Told him, Rabbi, we're coming from the mountains. We just saw the renewal of the moon. You are sitting in a building. This is what he answered them. Rabban Gamliel answered them. You see right here. The renewal of this is how we receive it from our father all the way back to Mount Sinai. The renewal of the moon can never be less than 29 days and a half, 2/3 of the hour, and 73 parts of the minute. The calculation 29.5305900. That's the calculation according to the Torah of the minimal cycle of the moon, which means the cycle of the moon until it starts a new month will never ever be less than this number. It will never be 29.53057 something. It will never be. Why? Because God told us the secret in Mount Sinai. I created the moon, I created the sun, I created all the galaxies, all of them are in movement, I control that they don't hit each other, all the galaxies are in movements, it's a brilliant system. The Jewish holidays go based on the moon, the renewal of the moon, it's critical. I don't want Jews to fast in the wrong day, they have to fast on Yom Kippur. So, you should know that if somebody gives you a testimony that the renewal of the moon was less than this number, don't accept it. It can never be less. Let's see what NASA found out. In front of you, it's an original document. You can find it at Britannica Encyclopedia of the Earth-Moon system by NASA. Right here, Earth-Moon system. I'll make it a little bit bigger for you to see. NASA, with millions of billions of dollars, many thousands of employees, so much effort. This is what they came with, 29.530588. The difference between NASA and the Torah is 2/10,000 of a second. Take 1 second, here, 1, 2, that's a second. Cut it to 10,000 equal pieces. Take 2 pieces out, that's the difference between what the oral Torah said in a very primitive days to what the scientists found out a few years ago. But it gets better. You know the Germans are a little bit more precise than the Americans. That's the Yeke nature. So they always go to the precise thing. 1965 in Berlin, they came up with their own research. 29.530,589. 1/10,000 of a second. Take a second, take 1 piece out from 10,000 pieces. This is the difference between what the German found in 1965 to what the Torah told us and this minimal cycle of the moon. Someone, a scientist in one of my lectures, already told me that the Germans upgraded it to the exact number of the Torah, but I never found the source. One way or the other, you know, it doesn't really matter. The question, and this is the last sentence for today, the question that I have is, do you think that there was any possibility that a human being, no matter who it is, how brilliant, with any budget, even 5,000 scientists, anyone you want, 3,322 years ago, was able to write the exact number of the renewal of the moon, 6 digits after the decimal points when there was no calculators? To know, you know what it means to measure all the cycles. It's unbelievable. It's definitely not human. Now, right next to it, what does it say? I created. 12th section, I created. I. And you, the Jews, have the nerve to tell me that I forgot about you and neglected you. You should know one thing. Many secular Jews are not religious for 2 reasons. Main reason, there's always the reason. It's the main reason, it applies to every secular Jew, is ignorance in Judaism. They never learn even 1% of what necessary to learn, to know. And they already made a jump to conclusion without knowing the picture. They don't know anything. They know math, they know medicine, they know law, they are this, they know a lot. The Jewish people are talented people. Torah, they have no idea what it is, nothing whatsoever. That's why they already jumped to conclusion that it's a primitive book, the rabbis made it up, we are not interested in these laws, it's not for me. That's one of the main reasons. What's the second reason? They don't know the reward that they are going to miss. If they only knew for every commandment that they keep, every mitzvah that they keep, what a huge eternal reward God promised to the Jews in the afterlife, they will kill themselves not to give up one tiny commandment, one tiny mitzvah. Where does it say it in the Torah? Now I'm going to shock you a little bit, but it's good for you to know it. It gives you an incentive to wake up. The Torah says like this, If you take all the reward of all the people who lived in this physical temporary world from the beginning of the creation to the end of the creation, Jews and non-Jews, male and female, all people who ever lived here, we are talking many billions of people, and combine all the pleasure that they had in this world, women, money, sports, vacation, jewelry, swimming, well, I don't know, whatever, you name it, food, sushi, whatever you can say, combine all of it together, will not be equal to the reward that I'm going to pay the righteous Jews who listen to my Torah in the afterlife in 1 hour. Did you understand what I just say here? You should faint already. You're not fainting, that means you didn't understand me. I repeat again, we run after a little bit pleasure. Rabbi, vacation, I work so hard, 6 months that I can go 2 days away. What are you going to do in vacation? Suitcases, hotel, the children screaming, that. Finally you get the room, the hotel made mistake, this, where my bathing suit, I forgot, let me go buy. All this headache. You swim maybe a little bit, maybe, I don't know, at boat, jet ski, you get some tent. Wow, what a great vacation. Combine this of all the people in the world that ever lived, everything they had, palaces, whatever you can think of, all of it combined cannot be equal to the reward of the righteous Jews 1 hour after they died. Where does it say it in the Torah? I say it in Hebrew, hopefully. Correct me if I'm wrong, she understands Hebrew. יפה שעה אחת של קורת רוח בעולם הבא מכל חיי העולם הזה. Translation. 1 hour of the pleasure in the afterlife is greater than all the pleasure of this world combined. All of it combined, all the generations, all of them, all the people combined. And if a Jew is not keeping the Sabbath, he loses share to the world to come. Isn't it a tragedy? That's the real tragedy. Not that he lost and he made bankruptcy and he have to start from the beginning. Not that, I don't know, I mean, we have a lot of problems in our life. I'm not saying no. But all our problems is nothing compared to the real tragedy that nobody cares about. I'm going to die secular, and then I come to my trial. Every soul has a 1-year trial. That's why we say Kaddish on the deceased people for 1 year when they die. It's no coincidence. Everything falls into the puzzle. Why we sit Shiva? Because the soul go back from the grave to the house for 7 days. That's why you pay respect out of saying goodbye to the deceased person. And then right after that, 1 year. Why we say Kaddish 1 year? The person that we love so much, such as a father, mother, brother, whatever, son, daughter, is being judged for his entire life. We want to help him as much as we can, so we praise God, Kaddish. The more we praise God, we say, see, thanks to his merit, we are doing all these great things for him. We make a yortzeit, we bring food, people make blessing, the rabbi gives a lecture. That means all these things we do for him, not for us. For him, for that person who needs our help now. He cannot help himself anymore. No more free choice once he died. When he's alive, he can choose to do good or bad. The Torah says, I'm giving you the life and the good, the dead and the bad. And you should choose the good, which means you can choose the bad. I'm not killing you. I'm not interfering with your plan. You want to eat pork? No problem. With melted cheese on it? On Yom Kippur? Do I hold your hand? Do I bring you cancer tomorrow morning? No. When a person lights a cigarette on Shabbat, is exploding to pieces? No. The Torah says violating Shabbat is a horrible sin. But you don't find someone who starts his car on the way to the beach that the car goes on fire. No. You know why? Because if every time a person will make a sin, the punishment will be instant, nobody will ever make a sin. From the day Adam was created until now, you wouldn't hear about more than 2 sins. The first 2 fools, they did. They died, and everybody else learned their message. And now they taught their children, be careful not to touch cigarette or any fire on Shabbat, you know? You know, my friend just did it. Wow, we had to pick millions of his pieces together. Be careful not to move. when the Sabbath would come, all Jews would stand like this. Moshe, where are you? Shh. Shabbat started. Make me tea. Why, are you crazy? I can die. That's not what God wanted. That's not a test. That's a gun to the head. With a gun to the head, every person will be religious. Not because of the truth. Nobody wants to die. That's why you can do whatever you want. When you do good sometimes, you don't get rewarded in this world. When you do bad, you don't get punished. But the Torah promised, in the end, all the righteous people, I will reward you in your end. I'm testing you to see, are you faithful to me? This is verses in the Torah. Are you faithful to me? Do you keep my mitzvot? Do you keep my commandment as I'm testing you? That I should reward you and your children after you for eternity. If somebody come and ask you, Rabbi, you fanatic people, where does it say in the Torah heaven? Where does it say that when we die, God will give us this reward? There are many places in the Torah that it says. You just never read the Torah. It says, "La'ativ lecha ulevanecha ad olam," to benefit you and your children forever, for eternity, not for 20, 30 years, forever, for eternity. Eternity means end. There's no end to it. Or it says, "La'ativcha be'acharitecha," to reward you in your end. Where is my end? Do you ever see an old Jewish righteous man, 2, 3 years before he dies, his life became a paradise? No, the opposite. They cannot walk, cannot climb the stairs, cannot eat. Some of them lay in a hospital. Some of them lost their wife. They're lonely. No? So where is this reward? Are we saying that God is a liar? He joined the Israeli Knesset or the Congress, telling his voters all kinds of lines, and until after the election he won't even know what he promised? No. God say, I'm the God of the justice, and pay everyone exactly what he deserves. The fact that you did not get rewarded or punished yet doesn't mean I don't owe you this, the good and the bad. But I gave you opportunity to repent, such as Yom Kippur. One day a year, you can repent a lot. Every day when you pray, you can repent. Giving charity a lot, it's a repentance. Changing your evil way, it's repentance. Asking for forgiveness, making confessions. All this, there's a list. In the CDs that I brought here, the MP3 English list, you have 6 lectures just about repentance. The Law of Repentance series, 6 lectures. Hundreds of thousands of people watched it. Non-Jews watched it. You should see the question they ask. Non-Jews are begging to repent without having the Torah. The Jews that have the Torah doing a favor that they want to change? The answer is, listen, I know I finished with the strong end, but that's what I told you before I started the lecture. Just to prove that the Torah is divine, in 1 week from now you won't remember that I was here. Maybe you remember the sushi, maybe even that you forget. But one thing I'm sure you will remember, the last 5 minutes of the lecture. Why? Because I'm sending you home with something like homework, something to think about. If you are honest with yourself, you won't go home and sleep and tomorrow it's a new working day. No. You take the CDs, you go into the website, you write emails, you learn more, and slowly, slowly. Nobody say from one day you can become an angel. That's not what God expects from you. He knows who we are. But what is the Sabbath? Why it's so important? Why it's an eternal covenant between me and the nation of Israel. It's a sign for eternity that I created the world in 6 days. In the 7th day I rested. That's why I'm giving you, my children, an opportunity to be like me, to elevate you to the spiritual dimension. Everything in the physical world has 6 dimensions: south, north, west, east, up and down. That's the physical world. 7 symbolize going to a world of eternity, a spiritual world. I make you like me, and you are doing me a favor that you want to keep this covenant, that I want to give you such a reward, endless reward for that, and you prefer to go to the mall, drink coffee with your friend and smoke a cigarette. For that you're selling me? If this is not ignorance, what else is? Person is going to lose so much for stupid habits that he has just because he was born in Russia or in Tel Aviv or in New York? No. If you want to learn, you can learn. There's no excuses. I learned, he learned, many other people. I have, Baruch Hashem, thousands of people that started with nothing. They started to listen to my lectures, to watch the videos. And today they keep all the laws. Some of them modern Orthodox, some of them strict, some of them learn Torah all day, and some of them are rabbis, and some of them are Rosh Yeshiva that already have their own yeshiva. And I picked them up from the street 15, 16 years ago when they did not know who's Avraham Avinu. I picked up one guy from the kibbutz, he didn't hear the name Noach until the day I spoke to him. He's a rabbi in Israel, you should see the beard he has students. When he comes to the building, everyone rise. One time I came with my image, Rabbi, in Hebrew, Rabbi, Arav, I scream like this in the building, like in the movies. The next thing is about to run to Agni and all the students looking. He's a very important figure, the way he looks. And someone like me, casual, I come in. This is your rabbi? Yeah, this guy saved my life. 7 minutes I spoke to him in a car wash. He was in charge of the car wash, a manager, in Little Neck Car Wash, on Northern Boulevard, on the way to Great Neck. There's a car wash on the right. A kibbutznik from Bet Hashita, all the pickles we buy, comes from their kibbutz. 7 minutes I spoke to him. And I gave him a book of the Ramchal, big Kabbalist, Mesilat Yesharim. Next week I spoke in his building to all his friends in Manhattan, all the kibbutznikim. Next thing, the kibbutznikim started to scream and throw things and go crazy that he's becoming religious. Next thing, he went to yeshiva in Bnei Brak, and today he's a big rabbi. We can also do it. He's not better than us. It's just more serious. You realize, why do I want? Do I want 20, 30 years to live like a goy, to do whatever I want? Or I just want to live according to my Creator instructions? If you think it's better to be religious here, you are wrong. Dead wrong. It's the best pleasure. You live with discipline, you have better marriage, better education with the children, better harmony in a house, better, everything better, everything better. You just didn't taste from that world. God knows what's better for you. You think you know better, but He knows better for you. If He told you one day, put your phone off, put your laptop off, put your television off, put everything, one day rest, be with your wife, with your children, learn, invite people, go synagogue, pray a little bit, talk, request something. You think you know better, you don't know better. There's a lot more to say. I'm sorry I made it double than what it was supposed to be, but believe me, I did not even show you maybe 10% from this DVD. The DVD will teach you a lot more, and there's a lot of lectures. Anyone wants to be in touch with me, my cell phone is on the CDs. You can call me. I'm not, sometimes I'm busy, but I'm not so hard to get. Like people call, I answer. You leave messages, emails, I answer. I do answer, right, Linda? I answer, right? Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again for hosting us here. Thank you very much.